The Financial Times just recently wrote that if Trump returns to the White House, he plans to freeze the war in Ukraine, reduce U.S. involvement, and hand over responsibility for peacekeeping to European countries. His team proposes to create autonomous and demilitarized zones along the border without Ukraine joining NATO, holding European countries responsible for peace in Europe. Can it be trusted? What does this publication say? Financial Times? You can change it, take away the title, put New York Times, it will match. Put Washington Post, it will match, no problem. The Financial Times is the mouthpiece of the Western left liberals just the same. Like the New York Times, the Washington Post, for example. It's the same thing. Put the BBC next to it too. The same thing. Now, it is the Financial Times that defends precisely Harris. It is these liberals, my friends, who are dreaming of Harris in the White House today, along with Putin, Xi Jinping, and the Ayatollah. Today, all the left liberals, Marxists, anti-Semites, and these dictators I have already named, they are all on the same side of the barricade. They support Harris, they are for her, they sleep and see her, because today's situation suits them. That is, you don't have to give Ukraine a chance to win, you don't have to, and neither does Israel. Israel should make concessions to these terrorists, Iran especially, and also Ukraine. Absolutely not. I'll tell you again. This idea that Putin suits the West better than anyone else who comes after Putin. And they say, these left liberals, that around Putin one is worse than the other. We have known Putin for many years. For more than 20 years we have been in contact with him. And it's not a big deal. We can come to an agreement. Let's give you what you said. What the Financial Times wrote, that's what they're happy with. Do you understand me? That's the scary part. So it's not to be taken seriously. It's a bluff that we've been hearing since February 24th, 2022, since the first day of the war in Ukraine. But if it's in the media, that's one thing. But when potential Vice President J.D. Vance also comes out and talks about how Ukraine will need to give up territory, he calls Putin's assassin an adversary, a competitor, but refuses to call him an enemy, says you have to be smart, you have to be diplomatic. What does that say then? It's not like the Kamala Harris media wrote this. Let's say you're right, you have the right to ask that question, and you have grounds. Now, I'll tell you from the inside. First of all, you look at the polls, my friends. Trump is not winning. Tied somewhere more by 1%, somewhere less by 1%. So far, 4 or 5 days, 6 days before the election, my friends, where's the guarantee that Trump is going to win? And why is there no guarantee? Because still, I said, and I'll say it again, to this day, up to over 15 million Americans are undecided. And who are they? These are the ones who don't give a damn about Israel, about Ukraine. They say, we're not satisfied with that. We need whatever president is in the White House after the election to solve our domestic problems first and foremost. It's high crime, it's high prices for basic necessities, it's illegal immigration, it's all these other things. Then you get my point. The rest comes later, you know what I mean. You called him smart, but this Vance is not smart. He's educated, but he's not smart. Today, in my opinion, he and Trump are playing that good cop, bad cop game. When Vance throws that rhetoric out to the public, he's appealing to those 15 million, saying, don't worry, we're not going to spend your money, it's going to be for you. Why doesn't Kamala Harris address them? She keeps saying the same thing, like a programmed robot that says, we will continue to help. She doesn't say why, because she knows the votes of those 15 million citizens are important. But she's losing in another way. She doesn't want to go up against Biden. Note, she tries to avoid criticizing Biden and sticks to his line offered at the outset. Let's talk more about Obama. She won't say too much. She's been warned. Keep it that way. We're going to keep helping Ukraine. But you'll notice she has never once said anything about helping until she's completely defeated. The word victory of Ukraine has never been uttered by her. Never. That is why there is only one policy. Here is to help as much as we can, despite the fact that we've talked to you more than once on our airwaves, that a law was passed to help Ukraine 61 billion, even if only on paper. But before her complete victory, there was a new strategy proposed by the Republicans and approved by Trump. That was April 20th of this year. Now, that's the one that's not there, and it's not going to be there. So today the Republicans have, I'll put it bluntly, a tougher position. Why? Because the media, the outlets, they're 80% owned by the left liberals. And here's the Financial Times that you named. It works for that public as well. I'll tell you more. From the same UK, a large group of Labour Party volunteers are leaving today to help Harris. Yes, they're going to split up into cities, especially in swing states, to campaign for Harris. Here, add this to that scale as well. However, as far as how legal it is, there are questions about whether our laws allow foreigners to campaign here. We do have it banned, but there is a reference to the fact that it all depends on who is funding these actions. If the Americans are not funding it, then they are allowed to do it. In other words, there's a fight going on. We'll see where this goes and how realistic it is. I bring this up for another reason.
Посмотрим, к чему это приведет и насколько это будет реально. Я это вспомнил по другой причине. По той, что, еще раз повторю, сегодня левые либералы...
Once again, today leftist liberals, Marxists, anti-Semites, all of them, and dictators, including Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim and the Ayatollahs are in the same boat. They hate Trump and wish Harris would come in. She suits them all because Trump has already expressed his attitude towards international affairs in the future. I'll remind you again, my friends. Let's not forget this. Wasn't it Trump who told the Wall Street Journal a couple weeks ago that he had warned Putin in one of his conversations with him if he attacked Ukraine? And this was, of course, before 2022, back when Trump was president. Then Trump, in one of his meetings with Putin, said, "You try to attack Ukraine, I will attack your domes." Those were Trump's words. That's the first time he's ever said that. And there was no rebuttal from Putin. The same Peskov, Putin's spokesman, didn't find words of rebuttal. He just said, "I wouldn't give out words there in public," and so on. Medvedev denied and said that he, the former president of the Russian Federation, would also attack Washington in the event of such threats. But he said it was unlikely that this could be the case since Trump and Putin were communicating, if I don't remember the quote, like silk, or whatever he said. Trump has his own strategy based, as they say, on softness or hardness. But that's Trump. He hugs and calls friends, but he does his own thing. I don't want to repeat, and I have said many times on all the airwaves, what Trump personally has done for Ukraine. Why do you think that today Trump will be different? He's not going to be different. He's going to be tougher, more powerful. I'll take you back to his speech at our convention when we nominated him as our party's candidate. He said then, "We are," Trump said, "for peace, but from a position of strength. We will seek peace, but through the lens of our military might." That's how Trump is. What do you think? You have to be crazy to be president. And then sit down with the dictator at the negotiating table, persuade him and say, "Here, please, take it, and let's not do anything further." This is not characteristic of any American president. Not characteristic. Trump is completely different. You will see him. This is his last term. God willing, he will win. First, in this term, he will do what is worthy of the name of our great country.